The classification. Captain Alina Reyes stood motionless on the bridge of the ESS Intrepid, Earth's flagship and pride of the newly formed Space Defense Force. The holographic projection hovering before her displayed 7 alien figures seated in a semicircle. Their diverse physiologies, ranging from the insectoid Vesperi to the crystalline Lumidians, represented the ruling species of the Galactic Council, the governing body that had controlled interstellar politics for over 5 millennia. "The Council has reached its decision," announced Arch-Speaker Torvix, the mantis-like Vesperi whose segmented limbs gleamed under the Council chamber's lights. "After evaluating Earth's technological development, societal structure, and resource management, we hereby classify humanity as a Category 3 subordinate species." Alina's jaw tightened, but she maintained her diplomatic composure. This classification was nothing short of a sentence. Earth would now be subject to resource quotas, restricted from independent colonial expansion, and required to provide labor to superior species. Humanity's rapid advancement from planetary civilization to interstellar travelers in less than 2 centuries had clearly unsettled the established order. "The Council expects Earth to begin compliance protocols within 15 standard cycles," continued Torvix. "Resistance is inadvisable and would result in corrective measures." When the transmission ended, the bridge erupted with outrage. "They can't just demote an entire species," shouted Communications Officer Park. "We've done nothing to warrant this." Alina raised her hand for silence. "Send an immediate message to the United Earth Government. Market Priority Alpha. We need an emergency summit." 48 hours later, Alina sat in the UEG's subterranean headquarters beneath Geneva. The room contained Earth's most influential leaders, military commanders, scientists, diplomats, and elected officials. The atmosphere was tense but focused. Admiral Wei Zhang, head of the Space Defense Force, stood at the center. "The Galactic Council's decision is non-negotiable through conventional channels. Their hierarchy has remained unchanged for thousands of years. To them, we're upstarts, unpredictable, and potentially destabilizing. So we just accept being treated as inferior?" asked the Brazilian president. "No," said Admiral Zhang with surprising calmness. "We appear to comply while executing Operation Trojan." Dr. Sofia Mendes, Earth's leading genotechnologist, stepped forward. "The Council species have a critical weakness. They've evolved in a stable galactic environment where change happens gradually. Their technology, while advanced, has developed along predictable paths. They literally cannot conceptualize how a primitive species might approach problems differently." In simpler terms, Alina added, "They'll underestimate us because they can't imagine solutions outside their established paradigms." The plan that emerged was daring in its simplicity. Earth would outwardly accept its subordinate status while secretly preparing for a demonstration of humanity's unique capabilities. Every restriction would become an opportunity. Every humiliation would fuel their resolve. Within weeks, the Lumidian Oversight Fleet arrived in Earth orbit. Their vessels resembled gigantic geometric snowflakes, beautiful yet intimidating in their alien perfection. Ambassador Xylix, a being whose translucent crystalline body refracted light in mesmerizing patterns, delivered the Council's expectations. Earth will relinquish 30% of its space fleet, provide quarterly resource tributes, and accept Council inspectors at all major facilities, Xylix announced in the UEG's Grand Assembly Hall. Furthermore, human expansion beyond your current colonial holdings is prohibited until reassessment, which may occur in approximately 200 standard years. UEG President Chen Miyazaki bowed his head in apparent acceptance. "Humanity acknowledges the Council's wisdom and authority. We will comply with all directives." Ambassador Xylix's crystalline form vibrated with satisfaction. Submission from new species typically involved more resistance. What the Council didn't realize was that Earth's compliance masked an unprecedented mobilization. In underground facilities, abandoned mining outposts, and the shadowy regions of the solar system, Humanity was quietly preparing. Dr. Mendez led a team analyzing the minimal council technology humans were permitted to interact with. Look at how they approach power generation, she told her colleagues while examining a Lumidian energy regulator. They've mastered incredible efficiency, but they've done it through absolute standardization. There's no redundancy, no adaptation for unexpected conditions. In a secret facility beneath the lunar South Pole, Commander Rashid Khan oversaw what appeared to be the decommissioning of Earth's most advanced warships to meet the 30% fleet reduction mandate. In reality, the ships were being stripped of identifying markers and enhanced with experimental technology before being hidden in the scattered debris fields of the asteroid belt. The Council expects us to surrender our best vessels, Rashid told his engineers. Instead, we're giving them our oldest models while concealing our true capabilities. Elena Reyes, now serving as the liaison between Earth's apparent compliance efforts and the secret resistance, developed a coded communication system embedded within standard diplomatic transmissions. Every formal message of cooperation sent to the Council contained hidden directives for Earth's covered operations. 3 months into Earth's subordination, the Council's monitoring showed a model transition. Humans worked diligently at assigned tasks, provided resources on schedule, and showed appropriate deference to Council representatives. Lumidian reports consistently described humans as adaptable but predictable and accepting of their natural place in the galactic hierarchy. This assessment delighted the Council. Archspeaker Torvix personally commended Ambassador Tylix for the efficient integration of humanity. Their quick acceptance proves the wisdom of our classification. Some had concerns about their unpredictable nature, but they clearly recognized superior authority when confronted with it. Meanwhile, in laboratories across Earth's territories, scientists were making discoveries that would have alarmed the Council deeply. Dr. Mendez's team had identified a fundamental flaw in Council technology. Their universal communication protocols contained exploitable patterns that the aliens had never thought to secure, believing the system's complexity was protection enough. They've used the same basic framework for thousands of years, Dr. Mendez explained to Elena during a secure briefing. To them, it's like a natural law, immutable and absolute. But we found we can insert phantom data streams that their systems interpret as routine traffic while carrying our own information. Elena smiled. Can we use this to access their secure networks? Better, replied Mendez. We can send commands their systems will recognize as legitimate. We're developing an interface now. 6 months into subordination, the Council increased Earth's resource quotas without warning. Commander Gilix, a Lumidian inspector, arrived at the primary processing facility in Australia to inform the human operators. The Council requires an additional 15% output effective immediately, Gilix announced, his crystalline form pulsing with authoritative light patterns. Facility Director Abigail Chen bowed in apparent submission. We will adjust our production schedules accordingly, honored Inspector. Once Gilix departed, Abigail activated a secure communication channel to Elena. They're pushing harder than anticipated. Are we ready to proceed? Not yet, Elena replied. Continue compliance, but implement Protocol Shadow. Protocol Shadow was a subtle form of resistance. The quality of resource shipments began to vary inexplicably. Some contained exactly what was required. Others had minute impurities that caused processing issues in Council facilities. Never enough to trigger accusations of sabotage, but sufficient to create inefficiencies that required constant adjustment from Council technicians. The Lumidians, perplexed by these inconsistencies, increased their presence at human facilities. This was exactly what Earth's leadership had hoped for: more exposure to Council technology and operational procedures. 9 months into subordination, a Council scientific expedition arrived to study Jupiter's atmospheric anomalies. Their research vessel, the Crystalline Harmony, represented technology far beyond what humans were permitted to develop. Elena, now serving as Earth's official liaison to Council scientific missions, welcomed the alien researchers with appropriate deference. We are honored by your presence, she told the lead scientist, a Lumidian named Zetix. Human observation posts around Jupiter have been instructed to provide any assistance you require. Zetix's crystalline structure shimmered with intellectual curiosity. Your species' enthusiasm for learning is admirable, Captain Rice, even if your methods are primitive by Council standards. Elena lowered her eyes respectfully while internally mapping every aspect of the crystalline harmony's visible systems. Her neural implant, technology the Council didn't know humans possessed, was recording everything for analysis by Dr. Mendez's team. The Jupiter mission provided an unexpected opportunity when the crystalline harmony experienced power fluctuations while passing through an intense radiation belt. Elena immediately offered assistance, suggesting a nearby human research station might provide temporary shelter while repairs were conducted. It is irregular to allow subordinate species access to advanced Council vessels, Zetix noted hesitantly. We will simply provide a stable environment while your engineers address the issue, Elena assured him. Our station will remain at your disposal without interference. Reluctantly, Zetix agreed. For 3 days, the crystalline harmony docked with the human station. During this time, Dr. Mendez's team, disguised as maintenance personnel, gathered invaluable data on Council propulsion and energy systems. Their technology is incredible, Dr. Mendez reported after analyzing the findings. But it's also inflexible. They've optimized systems for specific conditions and never considered the need for adaptation. We can use this. As Earth approached the 1-year mark of its subordination, preparations for Operation Trojan reached their final stage. Hidden shipyards in the asteroid belt had constructed vessels unlike anything the Council had encountered, hybrid designs that combined Council principles with uniquely human innovations. The communication exploit had been refined to allow limited control over Council automated systems. Most importantly, Earth had developed a technology the Council had never considered possible: adaptive shielding that could reconfigure in response to weapon impacts. Admiral Zhang convened the final planning session with Elena, Dr. Mendez, and Commander Rashid. The Council believes we accepted our place, he said. They see our compliance as confirmation of their superiority. They don't realize that humans have never in our history simply accepted subjugation. Are we ready to show them what humanity is truly capable of? Elena nodded. Operation Trojan is ready for activation. Then let's introduce the galaxy to the real humanity, said Admiral Zhang, and show the Council why they should have never underestimated us. The revelation. The Lumidian command vessel Eternal Radiance entered Earth orbit unannounced. Its sudden appearance triggered alert protocols across the planet, but Earth's official response remained measured and deferent. Arch Commander Trilix, the most senior Lumidian military leader ever to visit the Sol system, demanded an immediate audience with Earth's leadership. Elena Reyes, now serving as Earth's official representative to Council delegations, greeted Trilix in the orbital diplomatic station with appropriate subordinate protocols. Honored Arch Commander, Earth welcomes your presence. How may we serve the Council? Trilix's crystalline form pulsed with cold light patterns that the human translators recognized as displeasure. The Council has determined that Earth's resource contributions are insufficient. Effective immediately, all quotas will increase by 40%. Additionally, the Council requires 10,000 human laborers for mining operations in the Arcturus sector. Elena maintained her diplomatic composure despite the outrageous demands. These new requirements represent a significant adjustment to our current capabilities. Perhaps we could discuss a phased implementation. This is not a negotiation, interrupted Trilix. The decision has been made. Compliance is expected within 15 standard cycles. After Trilix departed, Elena immediately contacted the UEG's Emergency Council. They're pushing too hard too quickly, she reported. The demands are impossible to meet without causing significant hardship for our population. President Miyazaki's expression was grim but determined. Perhaps this accelerated timeline is fortunate. Are we prepared to execute Operation Trojan? Admiral Zhang nodded. All elements are in position. We were planning for the 3-year mark, but we can activate now if necessary. Dr. Mendez, your assessment? Asked the president. Sofia Mendez considered carefully. The communication exploit is ready. The shield technology has been successfully tested. Our hidden fleet is at 97% readiness. Most importantly, the Council remains completely unaware of our capabilities. President Miyazaki looked at each of his advisors. The Council has clearly decided to exploit humanity rather than merely restrict us. If we don't act now, their demands will only increase. He turned to Admiral Zhang. Activate Operation Trojan. The next day, Elena met with Arch Commander Trilix to deliver Earth's response. Honored Arch Commander, I bring word from Earth's government. We will require additional time to implement the new quotas and prepare the requested laborers. Our current infrastructure cannot. Your difficulties do not concern the Council. Trilix interrupted, his crystalline structure flashing with irritation. The matter is decided. I will remain in orbit to oversee the initial compliance. Elena bowed respectfully. As you wish, Arch Commander. May I offer you a demonstration of our current resource processing capabilities? Perhaps seeing our operations firsthand will help you understand our limitations. Suspicious but curious, Trilix agreed. His shuttle, accompanied by a small escort of Lumidian guards, followed Elena's craft to the massive orbital processing station that served as the collection point for Earth's resource tributes. The facility appeared modest by Council standards, a utilitarian structure without the crystalline elegance of Lumidian architecture. As they docked, Elena checked the secure communicator hidden in her uniform collar. A single message appeared. Trojan activated. Elena guided Trilix through the processing center with appropriate deference. As you can see, honored Arch Commander, our systems operate at maximum efficiency according to the technology permitted for Category 3 species. Trilix examined the facility with obvious disdain. Primitive, but functional. Your excuses for failing to meet new quotas remain unacceptable. Before Elena could respond, the station's lights flickered momentarily. Trilix's guards immediately moved protectively around their commander. A minor power fluctuation, Elena explained calmly. Quite common in human facilities. But it wasn't a fluctuation. Throughout the solar system, hidden human transmitters had activated, sending precisely calibrated signals that exploited the fundamental flaw in Council communication protocols. On the Eternal Radiance and every Council vessel in the system, automated systems began receiving phantom commands that appeared to originate from legitimate Council authorities. Trilix's communicator chimed with an emergency alert. Arch Commander, our ship is experiencing multiple system malfunctions. Engineering cannot determine the cause. Suspicious, Trilix turned to Elena. What is happening? Perhaps a solar flare affecting your systems. Elena suggested innocently. Our primitive technology often struggles with such natural phenomena. Across the solar system, the second phase of Operation Trojan activated. From hidden bases in the asteroid belt, beneath the surfaces of various moons, and from underwater facilities on Earth itself, humanity's secret fleet emerged. These vessels bore no resemblance to the standardized designs familiar to the Council. Each incorporated Council technological principles, but implemented them in ways the Lumidians and other Council species had never imagined. On the command ship ESS Prometheus, hidden until now in the shadow of Neptune, Admiral Zhang gave the order. All vessels, execute maneuver Hydra. The human fleet, rather than forming a conventional battle formation, dispersed into seemingly random patterns. Council tactical systems, designed to counter established combat doctrines, failed to identify the strategic purpose of these movements. When Trilix received word that unidentified vessels had appeared throughout the system, he immediately attempted to return to his command ship. You will explain these vessels, he demanded of Elena as they hurried back to the docking bay. I'm afraid I cannot, Elena replied, dropping the submissive posture she had maintained for the past year. But you'll understand soon enough. As Trilix's shuttle departed the station, The Eternal Radiance suddenly found itself unable to target the approaching human vessels. Their adaptive shields, technology the Council had deemed theoretically impossible, confused the Lumidian targeting systems. Each time the Radiance's weapons locked onto a human ship, the shield frequency would shift, requiring recalibration. Admiral Zhang opened a system-wide communication channel. Attention all Council vessels. This is Admiral Y. Zhang of the United Earth Defense Force. For the past year, humanity has endured classification as a subordinate species. We have watched as the Council underestimated our capabilities and dismissed our potential. Today, that changes. On the Eternal Radiance, Trilix watched in disbelief as the human fleet executed maneuvers his tactical officers deemed irrational and inefficient. Yet somehow these maneuvers consistently placed Council vessels at a disadvantage. Impossible, Trilix muttered as reports flooded in. Human ships were using modified versions of Council technology, but implemented in ways that defied Lumidian understanding. Their shields adapted to attacks. Their communication systems proved impervious to standard jamming protocols. Most disturbingly, they somehow interfaced with Council automated systems, causing unpredictable malfunctions. Elena Reyes, now aboard the ESS Intrepid, coordinated the human response. "Remember, minimal casualties," she ordered. "This is a demonstration, not a war." Human vessels targeted propulsion and weapon systems with surgical precision, disabling Council ships without destroying them. Within 3 hours, every Council vessel in the solar system had been neutralized without a single fatality on either side. When Arch-Commander Trilix's shuttle was escorted to the Intrepid, he found himself face to face with Elena in the ship's conference room. Gone was the submissive liaison. In her place stood a confident captain. "What is the meaning of this insurrection?" demanded Trilix, his crystalline form pulsing with rage. "The Council will respond with overwhelming force." "This isn't an insurrection, Arch-Commander," Elena replied calmly. "It's a reclassification hearing." Dr. Mendez entered, carrying the data tablet. "For the past year, we've studied Council technology while appearing to accept our subordinate status. What we discovered was enlightening. Your species have achieved remarkable technological advances, but you've become victims of your own success." "Explain," demanded Trilix. "The Council has relied on established principles for so long that you've lost the ability to innovate beyond certain parameters," Mendez continued. "You optimize rather than revolutionize. You refine rather than reimagine. Most critically, you assume all intelligent species must follow the same developmental path you did." Admiral Zhang joined them. "Humanity has always excelled at one thing above all others: adaptation. When faced with limitations, we find ways around them. When confronted with superior force, we develop asymmetric responses. Your Council made the critical error of judging our current technology rather than our potential." Trilix's rage had subsided into something approaching scientific curiosity. "These ships of yours, they used principles our theorists deemed impractical." "Because you approach problems sequentially," Mendez explained. "Humans are lateral thinkers. We make intuitive leaps. We combine disparate concepts. Sometimes we fail spectacularly, but sometimes we discover solutions that more methodical approaches would never uncover." President Miyazaki entered the conference room, flanked by representatives from Earth's major nations. "Arch-Commander Trilix, humanity rejects the classification of Category 3 subordinate species. We have demonstrated that your assessment was fundamentally flawed." "What do you want?" asked Trilix, now understanding the full implications of what had occurred. "A seat at the table," replied Miyazaki simply. "Recognition of humanity as an independent species with unique contributions to offer the galactic community. No quotas, no restrictions on our development, no limitations on our expansion except those that apply equally to all spacefaring civilizations." "The Council has never reversed the classification," Trilix noted. Elena smiled. "The Council has never encountered humans before. I suggest you advise them to make an exception." 2 weeks later, The full Galactic Council convened in emergency session. The demonstration in the Sol system had sent shockwaves through Council space. For the first time in thousands of years, a newly discovered species had not only rejected their classification, but had proven the classification system itself was flawed. The debate lasted for days. The Vesperi and Lumidians argued for swift military action to reassert Council authority. The Taurine and Aquarian representatives counseled caution, noting that the humans had shown remarkable restraint in their demonstration. Finally, after much deliberation, Archspeaker Torvix announced the Council's decision. The classification of humanity as a Category 3 subordinate species is hereby suspended pending further evaluation. Earth will be granted provisional status as an independent developing civilization, with appropriate rights and responsibilities. It wasn't everything humanity had asked for, but it was an unprecedented concession from the Council, and more importantly, it was a beginning. As Elena Reyes stood on the observation deck of the ESS Intrepid, watching Earth rise over the lunar horizon, Admiral Zhang joined her. The Council still doesn't fully understand what happened, he noted. Their reports describe our technology as anomalous and our tactics as illogical yet effective. Elena smiled. They've been the dominant force in the galaxy for so long that they forgot what it means to be the underdog. Humanity has been the underdog for our entire history, against nature, against each other, against our own limitations. We've learned to punch above our weight. Do you think they'll ever truly accept us as equals? Zhang asked. Eventually, Elena replied. But first, they need to learn something humans have always known. What's that? Never underestimate a species that went from stone tools to space travel in less than 10,000 years. Elena turned from the viewport to face the stars beyond. The Council has ruled for 5 millennia. Humanity is just getting started.